Flamingo chef, show us what you got with cocktails and dishes that hit the sweet spot.
That's what's for dinner for me tonight. That's pork tenderloin that's been stewed on the stove. It only took about a half an hour to make the whole thing. Let's make one. Let's take a look at the ingredients today. We're going to start with a pork tenderloin. Now I'm going to slice this into small medallions, almost like you would slice a beef tenderloin into filet mignon. I've got some asparagus. It's just going to add some color and some crispness to this dish. A bell pepper. I'm going to use an orange one, mainly because I had it in the refrigerator and I like the color. About a half of a medium yellow onion. I've got flour. I've got Parmesan cheese that's shredded. Right? I've got pasta. You can use any pasta you want. It's just what it's served over. For the sauce, it's going to be really simple. So I've got whole peeled tomatoes in a, what is this, a 28-ounce can, I believe. Some sour cream, and then my spices. And we're going to keep it pretty simple with the spices. Salt, pepper, and garlic, parsley, oregano, and some basil. Let's get started. The first thing we got to do is prep the meat and the vegetables. I'm only going to use about half an onion, and nothing special here. I'm just going to dice this thin. I don't need it finely diced because it's actually going to provide a little bit of texture to the sauce. So just kind of chopped up small will be fine. As far as the pepper is concerned, the one thing that I like to use on an orange pepper is I like this top cap. So if you just chop around that center, that's all usable stuff. And then just part it in half, take the rest of the seed pod out, and you can slice this little vein just by going across like this. And then just chop your pepper up from there. For the asparagus, I'm just going to take this band off, and all I'm going to use are just the tops like that. The rest of this is just fiber that you could use to boil in a stew or throw in the trash, whatever makes you happy. For this pork tenderloin, I'm just going to cut this into medallion chunks like so, all the way down across it, and they can be fairly thin, quite frankly, because that way they'll cook a little faster. All right, I've got the pork sliced, and what I'm doing now is I'm going to take some flour, just not a lot, just enough to cover the base of this medium-sized bowl that I've got here. And to that, I'm going to add a little bit of my salt, pepper, and garlic, and a little bit of oregano. All right, I'm just going to kind of mix that together, and very lightly, I'm going to coat my pork with this. And I'm just going to toss all of it in this bowl because I'm going to let it sit while I get the pan ready to braise the pork in. And then I'll just braise the pork and bread it as I go. It's time to start cooking. All right, so we got two pots here, and the big pot's going to be pasta, and the other pot we're going to actually produce the pork. I'll put some olive oil in the bottom of that pan, and in my pasta water, just a teaspoon or less of olive oil in there. We're going to start by taking the pork and just kind of tossing it around in this flour mixture that we made, so that it all gets coated, but it's not like heavily breaded. It just has a light coating of flour. That's the idea. It looks something like that. I want to get a little flavor going on in here. So I've got my white onion, or yellow onion, excuse me. I'm going to put some onions in the bottom of this pan. And the pan is on medium high. In fact, we'll just go, and I'm also going to put just a little bit of onion in my pasta water. The rest of it can go in here. We'll get those started. We'll bring that heat up. We're going to let these onions start to clarify just a little bit. As the onions start to cook, I'm going to add a little bit of oregano, probably half a teaspoon, the same amount of basil, also some parsley, and last but not least, salt, pepper, and garlic. I like garlic, so that's going to go in there. All right. It doesn't take long for those onions to start to work. And I've added a little bit of olive oil because now I'm going to cook the pork right on that oil. So all we're going to do, as these onions are clarifying, is just start setting these pork medallions right there on top. I'm not going to leave them laying around long. I want to move them around. I want to get a little browning on them with the onion, but I don't want them to get cooked through. I just want to get a little color and absorb some of that onion flavor into them at the same time, and the spices as well. So we'll let that do its thing on pretty good high heat for 2 or 3 minutes, and then we're going to do the next thing. It's only been a couple of minutes. I've flipped the pork over, get that nice color going on there. Now we're going to go ahead and add the peppers to that as well. I'm not going to move this yet, because what I'm going to do next, once these peppers start to break down a little bit from the steam, then I'll move it together. Then I'm going to add my tomatoes and carefully break them up to form a sauce in here. As you move this around, you can see this pork is cooked through, which that's fine. Most of the oil is gone, and that's exactly where I want to be before I start adding liquid to this to build a sauce. So now we're going to go ahead and put this can of tomatoes in here with the juice and bring our heat down to medium. My pasta is boiling. Once in a while I want to check and make sure it's not sticking together. Okay, now I'm just going to take some kitchen shears. I'm just going to carefully cut these tomatoes into pieces. In doing this, what's happening is, one, you're changing the texture. Two, you're also letting all the juice out of the tomatoes, which is going to actually form your sauce. So the end result will look something like this. Next thing you want to do is just kind of move this around a little bit and incorporate it all into the pan. If you see any real big chunks of tomatoes that you don't want, or if you do, leave them alone. But you just kind of break them up a little bit. Okay. We're going to let that work down a little bit, probably 2 or 3 minutes. And then we're going to add a little bit of sour cream and also some Parmesan. This absolutely looks amazing at this point. And now it's time to add a little bit of zest. So all we're going to do is take a little bit of sour cream. You don't need a lot. I'm just taking this small spatula and dropping that in there. And then I'm just going to mix it around into the sauce. Once we've done that, we're going to go ahead and hit it with a little bit of Parmesan cheese just to give it a pop. Doesn't need a lot. It's going to melt in there very quickly. And now I'm going to dump in my asparagus tops. Just mix those in lightly. Pasta is basically done. I'm going to give it a quick check here. Yeah, it's a couple more minutes wouldn't hurt it, but it's really probably done. I'm going to turn the heat down on the pork. So I let this simmer for about 15 minutes covered. And when you take the top off, you get this just beautiful sauce. It's thick and it's creamy and it's just gorgeous. Plus, the asparagus has a chance to soften up a little bit. Now, when I serve it, what I do is I put a ring of pasta around the outside of the bowl and then ladle some into the middle. And that is what it turns out looking like. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? I mean, who wouldn't want to eat that? So pretty. It's a feast for the eyes, and it's going to be a feast for the stomach too. This entire dish took about 30 minutes to prepare. It was not difficult. And I'm talking about with prep and everything. Try it. Let me know if there's something else you'd like me to make. Drop me a line, bill@kansasflamingochef.com. Visit my website, kansasflamingochef.com. Eat fabulous, and I will see you on the next one.
In the heart of Kansas, under sky so clear, lives a chef with a flair, bringing folks some cheer. With a pinch of love and a dash of zest, he's the Kansas Flamingo, and his meals are the best.